Each year, the annual Defense Authorization Bill tackles thousands of big budget military issues like troops pay and multi-million-dollar equipment purchases. This year, an early draft of the $740 billion legislation recently approved by the Senate Armed Services Committee includes a topic that may surprise some people: military hunger. A recent survey from Blue Star Families found that 14% of active duty enlisted service members faced problems with food insecurity within the past year. To help with the issue, lawmakers are looking at a new basic needs allowance for lower paid troops to ensure that their financial struggles don't become readiness issues. I recently spoke with Illinois Senator Tammy Duckworth, a member of the committee and one of the champions of the idea, to find out more about it.
What the bill does, it would require the DoD to create a basic needs allowance for service members who are below the 130% threshold of federal poverty guidelines. And that will help them assist with basic necessities, particularly food. It basically puts into law or codifies a modified version of the bill that Senator Blackburn and I introduced earlier this year, the Military Hunger Prevention Act. I think the thing here is, if you talk to Americans and you told them that there were military families who were hungry and couldn't get the help that they need to put food on the table, they would be not only astonished, but horrified to find that out.
Even if they are facing financial problems, most troops cannot qualify for food stamps or other financial assistance because their military benefits exceed income thresholds for that support. Duckworth said that's unacceptable.
Our troops should not qualify for SNAP. Our men and women in uniform should not need SNAP. And so we have to provide them with the resources. So yes, it's about the pay raise, but it's also about making sure that they have the food to feed their families, for crying out loud. I mean, this is all sort of part of the work that I've been doing, everything from leave for military families, better childcare for military families, food for military families. I just think Americans have no idea how much American families, military families, live on the brink. Especially, and if you're young and you're lower end of the enlisted scale and you have a wife and a child, you are potentially, you're below the poverty line, and frankly, they shouldn't be.
Related to the family support, the bill also includes 12 weeks of parental leave for all service members. Duckworth said that's important to make sure military families are being treated the same as other federal employees.
The key thing was to say that this just makes it uniform across the board, and the fact is that it puts our servicemen and women on a different scale than other people who work for the federal government. Because if you have a two service member family, then only one person can take leave. Whereas if you are if you are a service member and your spouse works as a GS employee, they can take the full leave and you can take the full leave. So it really treats our military families differently and at a deficit to other families that work for the federal government, for example. And frankly, this is something that if you look at all the studies and if you talk to the military advocacy groups, they all say the same thing. Time with family is one of the top 3 reasons why people say they're leaving the military. And so in order to retain the troops that we want, we need to have, just sensible, common sense policies. And this is one of them. And this is, this will codify it, this will make it even across all of the services. It puts them on par with their other federal employees.
And Duckworth has been pushing for months for legislative action to make sure Guard and Reserve troops get paid the same as their active duty counterparts for identical training required for their jobs. That provision was also included in the draft.
It's fundamentally unfair, and we're losing. We'll lose people. I was talking to General Hope Hinson, the director of the National Guard, and it was funny because I called to tell him that the provision passed, and he said, "Tammy, I literally was in a Black Hawk flying with some folks in Colorado with out at where they're fighting fires, or wherever he was, where they're and he said, I told them that you were working on this and that you were former guardsmen, and they said, well, she knows what we're going through then. And he said that the instructor pilots and all of the folks at the unit told him, this will keep people in the Guard. This will keep people serving because they will, they will continue to face the burdens if they know they're being treated fairly and equally with their active duty counterparts. So we just got to stop treating Guard and Reserve forces like they're some sort of JV team when they've shown that they are a vital part of our military readiness.
But for those priorities to become law, the annual authorization bill will have to survive months of negotiations with Senate and House lawmakers. One of the more controversial aspects right now are plans by Duckworth's committee to raise defense spending by about $25 billion, more than what the White House has asked for. The senator says she supports the plan and thinks it will pass.
I think we're going to make it through. I don't know why people think it's so surprising when during the Trump administration, we returned budgets that were higher than what the administration proposed. So this is actually, I mean, as far as I've been in the Senate and voting on NDAA, we've always returned a budget that was more authorized than what the administration requested. So to me, this is sort of like, why are people surprised? This is what we have always done. And frankly, with the tempo that our military has been going through, I think that they need this extra money so that they can and also take care of our troops.
Right now, these bills are still in the discussion phase, months away from becoming law. Work on the annual defense authorization bill will continue when Congress returns from summer break in September. For Military Times, I'm Leo Shane.